Are you struggling with sparse brows and lashes? Or have your brows and lashes completely disappeared? You are not alone, and I completely understand. In fact, as we mature, it's actually natural for our brows and lashes to get thinner. But today I'm going to share tips that I use to help make my lashes and brows look naturally fuller. I'm walking you through every single product, every single stroke, and showing you exactly what you need to do at every stage. And I promise these tips will work even if you're a beginner. So let's get right to it. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to another episode of The Beauty of Aging. I'm Angel Cornelius, the founder of Maison 276 and creator of the award-winning 3-step system for silver gray and blonde hair, a healthy way to brighten, cleanse, and restore the natural brilliance of your hair without the use of purple dyes. On The Beauty of Aging, we discuss a variety of topics from silver hair care to fashion, lifestyle, and fitness. But regardless of the topic, I always get questions about my brows and lashes, so that's what today's tutorial is all about. Now, first, it's important to know that as we mature, it's very natural for our brows and lashes to thin. And as you can see, I practically have none, and the few that I do have are silver. So mastering the art of brows and lashes has been really important to me over the last 10 or 15 years of my life. But even if you've never done your brows or if you've never worn lashes, don't worry. This is a simple step-by-step tutorial, and by the end, you'll be a brow and lash expert. But before we do our brows, we gotta prepare them. Now remember, before you even begin doing your brows, you have to prepare your brows. So that means whatever primer you're using before your foundation, you wanna also apply that to the brow area. Today I'm using Next to Skin Blurring Primer by the Lip Bar. And then I also prime my eyelids because that also allows my eyeshadow to adhere to my lids and to not crease. So I also take a tiny bit, I just dab it right here, of that eyelid primer, and I just dab that over the brow area. And that simply ensures that your brow makeup has something to adhere to. To illustrate the impact and the importance of framing your face with your brows and lashes, I've actually chosen a very simple makeup routine today. And in fact, I'm not even wearing foundation, but instead a tinted moisturizer by the Lip Bar as part of their Fast Face collection. And in fact, I've done a full tutorial using the Fast Face collection, and I'll put that link at the end of this vlog. So first we're gonna start by brushing those brows, and then just getting them in order. And remember, technique is much more important than the type of brow product that you use. Some prefer a pencil, a liquid, or even a pomade, but the general principles still apply. Now first we're gonna talk about how to measure how long your brow should actually be. Now if you're like me and you've lost most of your brows, you really need a starting and ending point. And so you wanna take, I'm just gonna use the brow pencil and take it and kind of angle it from the inside of your eye out. And this is the farthest my brow should be, okay? From the inside. And from the outside, you want to angle it at the outside part of your brow. And so my brow should not extend any further than this. And if you want to just kind of put a little marker there, you can, just to ensure you don't go too far. So you can kind of put something right there. You can barely see it. And then for this marker, we're just going to put something right there. Now, if you have brows, that's not necessary. You know where they end and begin. But sometimes as we mature, it can be really splotchy. They can be thick right here and maybe get sparser as we move to the outside. So that's why it's important to set your parameters. And in terms of your arch, generally speaking, most of our eyebrows naturally arch at the pupil part, which is kind of like right here. But that's generally speaking. Some people actually prefer a much more exaggerated arch, and then others a more subtle arch. In my opinion, that's a style preference and not a right or wrong. Another very important tool just in doing your makeup in general, is having a well-lit, two-sided makeup mirror. One that's regular magnification and then one that's at least 10x magnification. That's really important as we mature. So let's get started. And remember, if you're going to use a pencil, you want to use strokes, not long lines, because the thinner your brows are, the more important it is for you to replicate what hairs look like. And so I always start with just small strokes. And then one thing I do is I'll flip it back to the regular side to just check it out, right? Am I going in the right direction? Is it wide enough? Is my arch where it should be? So here is the point where I marked for the end. And there we go, we've got an outline. And you can just fill that in as needed. Obviously, I basically have no brows, so I do a lot of filling in. But remember, these short strokes are really important because that's what's replicating hairs, because your eyebrow hairs are not long, they're very short hairs. And it ensures that you have a very natural look. Now, one thing I completely did forget, and that is to put my headband on. I do not do makeup without wearing a headband because I have so much white hair. And this allows me to get all the way to my edges without getting makeup on my hair. Okay, as you can see, I already got a little bit of makeup on there from doing my foundation. See the difference? Let's do this side. So even on the days when I'm not going to do a full face of makeup, I will always do my brows and lashes because they frame the face. So remember, short strokes. And we're gonna clean that up with a little concealer. And this is when I step back and look and make sure they're matching. So today I'm using the Lip Bar's Exact Arch Micro Brow Pencil, and the color is deep brown. So let's talk about color. Almost nobody needs black. The truth is that for most people, a jet black eyebrow is much too harsh, much too harsh. Okay, so now we're gonna take the spoolie, that's what this part's called, and just brush that. And then that softens those edges and looks even more natural. Too much, you just go in and fill it in. So now I am going to just clean it up a little bit, and I like to do that with concealer. This is the same concealer I have under my eyes, and I'm just gonna take a little bit and put on this little brush and go right up under the brow and over, and it's really gonna brighten it up. Just a little bit. It's gonna brighten and define. And I'm gonna take this brush and then just feather that out a little bit, smooth it out. Because you don't want it, you want it to just blend into your eyeshadow. You don't want it to look like you've drawn a line under your eyebrow. Now we'll do the top. I didn't even put more product on it. What's on here is more than enough. Let's feather that up. Great. See the difference with the highlighter and without? Okay, let's do the other one. And if you ever, one thing that I always keep near is a microfiber cloth like this. So if I ever get too much product on a brush, I can just take it off. Yeah, that's much better. Like that. And on those days when I am not wearing eyeshadow, I'm just doing brows and lashes, then I will take the concealer and just put it over the whole eyelid. It just brightens that eyelid up. So now that I've kind of outlined it and defined it more, I see that I need to fill this in on this side a little bit more. So let's check our first measurements to see how we're doing. The inside point and the outside point. Inside and outside. But we're not done. Now let's talk about lashes. Some people will try to do a false eyelash once or twice and think this isn't for me. But I say practice makes perfect. There are endless options when it comes to lashes. Of course, the most expensive way is to go to a lash salon and get the semi-permanent lashes. Frankly, I use drugstore lashes, and I have a lash for every single occasion. If you've tried false lashes before and had difficulty, I recommend you try starting with an everyday lash. As you can see, my lashes are super short, so mascara really would not do anything for me. This level 1 lash is called So Real. It's from their new day-to-day lash collection, and it really, in my opinion, mimics a natural lash. This is what my lashes would have looked like in my 20s with mascara. Now here's one thing that I learned with the day-to-day lash, or the everyday, very lightweight lash. They look great, they're excellent for a day-to-day lash, but they will not show up on photographs. When I first started Maison 276 and I was taking pictures, posting to social media, I realized that it looked like I didn't have any lashes because I was using these very lightweight lashes. So they're great for day to day, but if you're going to take pictures, you need something a little bit more substantial. So I would recommend the Pompadour. This is what I call my level 2 lash. If I'm going to an event, if I'm going to be taking photographs, or if I'm doing something for social media, if I'm filming a vlog, this is the lash that I'm going to wear because I know it's going to show up on camera. Is your silver gray or blonde hair looking dull, drab, tired, just blah? The Maison 276 3-step system is designed to bring your brilliance back. Brighten, cleanse, and restore the natural brilliance of your hair without the use of purple dyes. All of our products are clinically tested, plant-based, and certified clean beauty to restore and maintain the brilliance of your silver gray or blonde hair. No purple dyes, no messy after shampoo cleanup, no drama, just beautiful hair. And then finally, level 3. And I don't wear these very often. If I have a formal affair, a nighttime event, or if I'm going to be filming something like a segment for television, you need something that's really going to show up. And so that's my level 3 lash. Somehow I lost the case for these, but this is my level 3 lash. So again, you need something for every occasion. Now let's talk about lash glues. Like lashes, there are a variety of glues. Some are waterproof, some are not. I prefer a glue that dries transparently. This is also considered a hypoallergenic glue because it's formaldehyde free and also latex free. So let's get started with the application. And first we're gonna do the everyday lash because I want you to see the difference between each of these types of lashes. Okay, so you want to pull the lash off very gently. If you're too rough, you'll rip the hairs from the band. There is adhesive on the band because that's what holds it to the case, but that's not enough to adhere it to your eyelid. There are a lot of different techniques for applying false lashes. This one works best for me. I found that it adheres better if you just give it a few seconds. And so I'll use that time to do my eyeliner because that's actually the guide for my lashes. I'm using a liquid liner. Remember, just like with your lashes, you're not drawing a line. Think more of connecting the dots. So now you're going to place, you've got them in the tweezer, put the tweezer in the center of the lash. These are very light. And you're going to place it right above your eyelashes. And then take the tip and place it at the end of your eyelid. And then take the inside and place it there. And then I just touch it with my fingers just to make sure, because they're so light, to make sure they're actually adhered to my eyelid. And you also want to think of placing it up and not out, because you want to make sure that it's curling like a natural lash would. Okay, I'm gonna grab the end, the outside end first. Make sure that's adhered. And now I'm gonna grab the inside. I'm gonna check to make sure it's adhered. It is. And then tilt that upward. Now, if you have lashes and they're just thin, this would really be a good lash to complement the lashes that you already have. Because I don't have any, I feel like I can barely see these. But this is a great lash for an everyday look, for a beginner, super light. Now we're gonna do my next level lash. But I'm also gonna leave one of these up so you can see the difference that it makes. Okay, now we're gonna put the pompadour lash on. It's my favorite. My go-to lash. Remember, just a very fine line of glue. You don't need a lot. You see that? Oops, let's turn. See that? You don't need a lot. Grab the lash right in the middle, attaching it to the outside, and then I'm gonna attach it to the inside. And it's touching just to make sure, yep. And then sometimes I will take the tip of the tweezers just to make sure, or I might take brown part of a small brush and do the same. And then also lifting to make sure that it's drying in the direction that I want it to. Do you see the difference? This one and this one. This one's okay. This one's definitely a little bit more drama. And as I step away, you know, then you can really see, let's put this up, the side view. There are lashes there, don't get me wrong. And this is a great beginner lash. But now you can see why this one works best if you're, especially if you're going to be taking photographs or if it's a special occasion, or if you're just feeling yourself. Okay, let's finish this side. If you happen to have trouble getting your lash off the container and you kind of stretch it out and it's not shaped properly, here's a little trick. Just pull the ends together like this, and that will make sure, you know, that'll shape it back to where it has the natural curve. Because sometimes that glue on here can be kind of tight. Okay, we're gonna take that. outside, in, outside, edge, inside edge, and make sure very good. And make sure you're lifting just a little bit so that dries in place. Easy peasy. Now I'm gonna do one more, because I told you I had a level 3, and just to illustrate how dramatically different it is. And you decide, again, there's a lash for every occasion. Also, oftentimes people wonder, are they disposable? Can you reuse them over? The answer is yes. There's a limited lifetime, and it just depends on, how much makeup you wear, because eyeshadow, whatnot can eventually adhere to the strip. And so I would say, on average, I probably get, I would say 3 to 4 uses of each pair, which I think is a great value because this was like $11, right? And so also what you can do, or this is what I do, especially on my thicker lashes, before I reuse them, I will pull that old glue off. And you can use either, if you have nails, you can use your fingernails and it will come off. Now, if the lashes come off too, that means it's time for you to retire that strip. Just like I did with the other one, I'm gonna put this on one side and then you can see how different. Also, I'm gonna bend that a little bit, get that shape back. Great. And also what you'll notice, the thicker the lash, the thicker the band, because obviously it needs to be thicker to hold the additional lashes. But you don't need more glue. You just still need to just lightly apply the glue along the lash strip. Wait a few seconds so it can get tacky. Which one? I took off the left, okay. And that's just how easily lashes come off. Because I have worn these about, I don't know how many times. I don't wear them very often. So I just wanted to kind of reshape them. Okay. Inside. This is my thickest lash. Honestly, the difference is it's very subtle. It's not that much, but it's just enough for those nighttime events, formal events, any camera work. You need a lash. So if you're going to a wedding, you're any type of special event, and you're gonna have your photograph taken, put a lash on. It will make all the difference in the world. So I'm gonna take my level 3 off, my go-to pompadour. So let me know in the comments, 1, if you have not worn false lashes before, have you been inspired to try it? And if you tried it and it didn't work, have I given you any kind of tips or hacks that would make you want to try it again? I promise you won't be sorry. And I wasn't always this fast with it. Okay, let's put on a lippy and then we're out of here. So guys, please let me know in the comments if this was helpful to you. And are there any other makeup challenges you have? I have had to learn a lot about applying makeup properly, about applying it properly for different types of occasions and events, because I can't bring a makeup artist everywhere I go. And in fact, a lot of the tips that I've learned and the tricks that I've shared with you are things that were taught to me by makeup artists. So I'm very grateful to them. So I love to share that information with you. And if you enjoyed this tutorial, please let me know. Okay, we finished up with a lippy, which actually is a combination of 3 different lipsticks. I will put them all in the description. The liner is by Juvia's Place, followed by Marble Toppy from Laura Geller. And then just for a little hint of orange, I added Olay Orange from Fashion Fair. So this wraps up our brow and lash tutorial. I hope you found this helpful, and please let me know in the comments if there are any other types of tutorials you'd like me to create. Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of The Beauty of Aging. Remember, I read and respond to every single comment, so please let me know your thoughts as well as recommendations for other content. Don't forget to join me every Friday for Coffee with Angel. I live stream right here on YouTube at 10 o'clock Eastern, but also on Instagram and Facebook. We talk about a variety of topics, but they are all topics that are of interest to you, the woman who is unapologetically growing bolder. Remember, all of the products and tools that I use will be linked down in the description. But of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Take care, and I'll see you the next time on The Beauty of Aging.